Alright, the point of this video is to show you how to enter and recoup a payroll advance to an employee using Gusto and QuickBooks Online. So here's Gusto's Help Center page on how to do this. So it's pretty simple. It's a two-step process. So you pay the advance to the employee through payroll as a reimbursement, or you can write them a check or whatever. And then you recoup that by adding a deduction, either recurring or one-time, to that employee's account in Gusto. And then it's processed, over time for the recurring one, or all at once if it's a smaller amount that can be repaid in one payroll. So in this case, let's say we're loaning an employee $10,000 and they're going to pay us back at $1,000 per pay period. So what we do in this case is we're going to add the deduction first. Okay, go to the employee's page, click add deduction in Gusto. That's the deduction. Okay, let's just call it an advance. Okay, and then it's recurring. We're going to apply it to every paycheck, $1,000 for each paycheck. Go ahead and save that. Okay. Now, when we go to map it, unfortunately, in Gusto, you can see when you go to map this particular deduction, for deductions they only have they'll only show you liability accounts. This is only liability accounts here. So this is actually supposed to be an asset because it's essentially it's a note receivable from an employee. But when I first set this up, I made an employee cash advances asset account, went to map that deduction to the account and saw that it didn't show up in this list. So what I had to do, and what you'll have to do here, is to automate this, is make a liability account for that instead. So let's say other current liabilities. And so we can save that, and then in here we can go ahead and post a new transaction. So I'm going to put the employee here, whatever their name is. Okay, we're just going to pretend that we don't have to fill this part out because I don't have any employees in here. This is just a fake account. The memo is, cash advance, whatever. Now, instead of increasing the account, we're actually going to decrease it $10,000 because it's a negative liability to make up for the fact that it should be an asset. So it's going to come from our bank account, whatever we used to pay the $10,000 to the employee. Okay, save that, and then we can go ahead and map it in Gusto. So now that we have this liability account, we can we can go in here and select it from here, employee cash advances, because it'll show up in this list of liability accounts. And then every payroll, it's going to take that $1,000 out of the employee's payroll or paycheck and deposit it, basically book it against this $10,000 in the cash advance account. So then that negative liability will increase to 0. Of course, this isn't quite correct to show a negative liability on there. It should be an asset. If you want to, you can go ahead and go in and make a recurring transaction that takes this $1,000 out of the liability account and puts it into a correct cash advance asset account on, say, the 15th and the 30th of every month, or whatever your payroll schedule is, if you want to do that. And just make sure that these are balancing, clearing out every month. If you go that route, that's the most correct way to do it. I'm not going to show you how to make a recurring transaction in this video because it's pretty simple and it's outside the scope of this. But I did email gusto to try to make sure that I wasn't missing something when I tried to map that account to the asset account, or the deduction rather, to the asset account. It didn't show up in the list, and they basically said, "Yeah, we know, that it doesn't work, and that sucks, but there's nothing we can do about that right now," or something. So it's just kind of another example of software that interfaces with other accounting software, where they kind of think of a feature that they know people want or need, but they don't really think it through, or they're not really willing to basically do what it takes to actually make that feature work. I mean, in this case, which is pretty typical, you see they even went so far as to make like a help page about how to do it, and they're basically describing how to do something that like there is no way to actually do in their software. So it's kind of funny, but I mean, it's super common, unfortunately. And anyway, hope this made sense and helped.